All right, we're going to get to the Trump latest indictment. They, I forgot what the term is that they did for Trump, but they served him a paper, a notice, a thing. He's going to get indicted by this guy, Jack, whatever he is, in Washington, D.C. for inciting an
insurrection.
An insurrection. Something that he was cleared for during impeachment.
Did you read his statement about it, though?
He was cleared for during impeachment, by the
I know, but his statement cracked me up.
Well, hold on. I want to tackle a bit of housekeeping before we do this. I just saw the name Brent Bozell.
Okay.
And Brent Bozell and I share a similar beard. So,
okay.
No, so the reason I bring that up is, yes, because of the beard. So, I had an Epiphone today, Alice, while I was driving the car. Looked in the rearview mirror. I saw my growth, my facial growth, and it occurred to me I was going to cut it for a wedding Saturday.
Yes.
Because the person who was because I'm going to be officiating the wedding.
Yes. You've been granted powers by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I have been for that one day. So if anybody else wants a quickie wedding or divorce, or do you want me to change your gender, I can do it all for that one day. Reach out to me.
I don't know if it works like that.
I'm getting a quickie divorce from you, too, and finding for me for getting the house, by the way.
Okay.
Sucks to be you.
Do I have the kids or no?
Yes, you have the kids and the dog.
And I have to pay you, I assume?
Yes. So it occurs to me, Alice, we might have a problem here, because would you say that my face is tanned at all?
Yes.
Okay.
But your beard, you think you won't be tanned under your beard?
Maybe. That's right. I could have a tan line, a beard-shaped tan line.
Then I guess we have to spray tan you then.
Or should I chop it off earlier and then give myself some days to even out?
Maybe if it's truly disastrous, we can have the makeup people work on you that day. The ones doing all the bridesmaids.
I'd rather not do that.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we're going to have to deliberate this. This is an issue. Guys, does this happen? Some of you guys with real beards
I don't know.
probably...
At the beginning, it was pretty thin, so it probably hasn't been that long that it's been thick enough to, block out the sun. Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. I do love my clippers, though. Very fun. Very fun. All right, so with the Trump thing, is it double jeopardy? I don't know, but you were going to read his statement or something?
Yeah, it's his statement that he put out. It's hilarious. It says, "Wow. On Sunday night, while I was with my family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida, where I won the straw poll against all other Republican candidates with 85.7%, with all polls showing me leading in the Republican primary by very substantial numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president, and as I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot, horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys."
Is this the truth?
This is an image with text. I don't know if he.
I think it's the truth. It's got to be a truth. That's all he does, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Deranged Jack Smith, deranged Jackson, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ sent a letter. Again, it was Sunday night, stating that I am a target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment. So now, Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland, who I turned down for the United States Supreme Court in retrospect based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision, together with Joe Biden's Department of Injustice, have effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's number one political opponent, who is largely dominating him in the race for the presidency. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before, or even close. They illegally spied on my campaign, attacked me with a totally fake dossier that was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC, impeached me twice. I won. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt, no collusion. They failed on the Russia hoax, the 51 intelligence agents fraud, the FBI Twitter files, the DOJ Facebook censorship, and every other scam imaginable. But on top of all that, they have now effectively indicted me 3 times. The DOJ staffed and runs the DA's office in Manhattan, with a probable 4th coming from Atlanta, where the DOJ are in strict and possibly illegal coordination with the district attorney, whose record on murder and other violent crime is abysmal. This witch hunt is all about election interference and a complete and total political weaponization of law enforcement. It is a very sad and dark period for our nation. read that in its entirety, but I'm nothing about it is untrue necessarily. I just find his delivery so hilarious.
Yes. No, as usual. As usual, it is. And CNN, of course.
Terrible news for our country.
Yeah, CNN, of course. This is a big move.
And just one last point. Jack Smith, remember when the classified documents target letter, when Trump announced that, there was a lot of commentary. It was Jack Smith making a mistake here. Is he leaving this all to Donald Trump? And then they released the indictment, and we all said, wow. Wow. We read it. We saw the documentation. We saw the level of detail. Jack Smith going to Subway today is a message to Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump tries to intimidate people. He tries to bully people. He tries to scare you away.
Literally, Subway for a sub Jack Smith went to.
So I don't understand. What does it mean that he went to Subway?
You don't get it, man.
I don't.
He's showing them, you know what? I'm going to go and get my BLT sub regardless of your mighty authoritarian fascist tendencies, Mr. Trump. I'm going to eat my lunch proudly like I don't do every day and not be intimidated by your truth, your searing truth.
That was Jack Smith with no words and a simple $5 sub in his hand saying, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, the imagery was intentional.
You know who else had a $5 sub
really
in his
is.
hand? Jared. Right? Just saying.
So wait a second. So the imagery was intentional. Are they trying to really actually make a thing out of the sub?
I don't know. I've been seeing people make like Subway memes, and I just don't understand it. So I'm asking all you people who are younger or hipper or more online than me or whatever, please explain to me what I'm missing about the Subway. Like, I don't get what
a message to Donald Trump.
I don't understand what it means to go to Subway. I will eat this very mediocre sandwich just to show you. Like, I don't get what it means.
But he's such a melodramatic bitch, this guy in CNN. And Dana Bash, his ex-wife, is also. I mean, he's so melodramatic, and he said something with that sub. He said, sir.
Was he wearing his, like, Star Trek evil emperor outfit when he did that? Have you seen him wearing that?
Who?
Jack Smith. When they post pictures of him wearing that weird, like, purple and black
even
outfit.
Jack Smith can't resist a $5 footlong. That's according to what we see right there. New and exclusive CNN video of the special counsel at Subway, declining, though, to respond to reporters' questions about today's big news. A target letter sent to the former president of the United States. CNN's Evan Perez was there trying to track down the special.
This is all B-roll. This is B-roll. This is the stuff that you would leave out.
So they're trying to make it a thing like that this is a historic video of him going to Subway after sending Donald Trump a target letter.
And the prosecutor did not answer questions. So this literally is B-roll. This is the failure to get a news story. As a news story. He went and purchased the sub. Well, what else happened? What did he say? What did he do? No, he went to Subway for a sub. Now, it might be a news story had he gone to Planned Parenthood and walked out with a sub. Or gone to Subway and walked out with an abortion. But to walk out of Subway, people are walking out of Subway with subs fairly often. I'm pretty sure. That's one of their leading products. I think.
I don't understand. I legitimately don't understand why they're haunting his footsteps
a message.
at Subway.
Special counsel, I won't ask you all of the less important things about what he got and how he paid and all that. But what is important is
already this guy Jack is
how he paid.
Jack Smith is already going to is she fangirling over him? Like our daughter's doing Bye Bye Birdie, like he's Conrad Birdie. Oh my goodness! Tell me how he paid. What else did he order? What did he have in his drink? Did he push the little buttons on his drinks that say, diet or regular? What else happened? Oh, my goodness. Give us all the details. Why? Is this reporting on Harry Styles or is this reporting on...
They have been doing that a little bit with Jack Smith. Remember, they did that with Mueller for a long time, too, which is why they couldn't... They had to pretend to be very impressed with the Mueller report, even though
Mueller hadn't read it.
But remember, do you remember the Krasensteins had the children's book where it was like shirtless Mueller flying with a superhero and stuff?
They had De Niro playing him on Saturday Night Live, and everybody's like, "Yeah, this is the guy who's going to kick down the doors."
Weird.
Things about what he got and how he paid and all that. But what is important is the imagery here. They clearly wanted us to see him and that image to be very different from what we saw in the former president's post, which is that he's a deranged individual.
Yeah.
So, in other words, CNN is image cleaning for them.
Right.
Hey,
No,
have
he's
your camera.
not deranged. He's just
Dana,
a regular guy. He goes to Subway.
Make sure your guy is out in front of Subway at 5 p.m. Get some footages of us walking, to which CNN literally played like pump-up music. Sending a very clear message. It's lunch?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can count probably 5 or 6 sandwich shops between his office and that location that he was at earlier today. He stood in line just like everybody else, and I
Wait, does he know?
Is there a special
do
express pass like at
prosecutors
Disney
normally
for
like
Department
that?
of Justice people? Pardon me. Excuse me, Department of Justice. Yeah. I'll have a steak and cheese, please. Schmucks.
couldn't tell whether it was a foot long or was it a 6-inch sub. But look, I mean, we now are on watch for
What is the purpose of you, CNN? What is happening?
when this potential indictment is coming.
So
You must not know who I am. I'm the man who's about to take down Donald Trump once and for all.
it's bizarre.
Turns out even
And I don't
Jack Smith
understand.
can't
So why
resist
did
a
he pass
$5
by
footlong.
5 or 6 other sandwich shops to go there specifically?
Yeah.
What's the symbolism? I'm like
Is there
truly
a
missing,
symbolism to Subway?
I'm truly missing something. Well, it's vaguely associated with a guy who, well, we won't go there because we'll be accused of being a QAnon conspiracy. But I mean, like, I just don't understand.
No, it's what?
No, the Jared guy. That's all I was thinking of.
Okay, Subway is headquartered in Connecticut.
So what's the point, though, that he went to Subway? He passed by 5 or 6 other sandwich shops, waited in line. Like, what? I don't get it.
Founded in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
I
There's nothing
literally-
Trump about Bridgeport,
I
Connecticut.
literally don't understand what it means that he went to Subway.
Nobody does.
I
This
feel
is-
like I've...
It's as if they had the editorial writer, or actually the literature reviewer of the New York Times, come and write a script. Make something colorful out of this. All we have is B-roll of a guy with protection walking in and buying a sub. Obviously, it was coordinated because he told CNN's not hanging out in front of the all-important Subway for something to happen. Sending a message.
Yeah,
What's the
It's very
message? He's not on
odd.
a low-carb diet?
news coverage. I don't understand at all. Subway is also, like, not great food, though.
Right. If you're going to have a sub, you need to go to a sub shop. Subway is what you have to do if you're out of choices.
I know.
They measure the meat in Subway. I used to want to pull a gun when I'd go into one and somebody would start measuring this stuff.
Even, like, Quiznos is better than Subway. Subway is terrible. But anyway, I save it for the food show, I guess. But it's bizarre coverage.
A message
So-
to Donald Trump. What is the message?
I know, it's in code. We don't understand. But that's why I say I feel like everybody else got some message that I didn't
there's
get.
more
that
reporting.
I'm, like, very
Of
confused.
course, on the special counsel's side, that's the Justice Department and its appointee, Jack Smith. Jack Smith is tight-lipped. He was spotted today by CNN going to Subway for lunch, picking up a sandwich, leaving, and not saying a word. So no comment from the special counsel's office on whether they plan to indict Donald Trump and when that is potentially going to happen for the second time for a federal case.
Wow, that is not fascinating.
I don't get it. So the other thing CNN did today is they they had a long form interview with Jake Tapper.
Evan Perez says he stood in line like everybody else. I can't get over this. There's so much happening here.
The other thing CNN did today is they did a long form interview, Tapper, with Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, death sentence.
Yeah, and did you watch any of it, like any of the clips that were around of it? I mean, I saw a few of the clips. It's really boring. I mean, like, DeSantis, like, they covered policy in depth, mainly. You know, there was no... And I just, like, I think with the Jack Smith stuff happening and this coverage of him on CNN at the same time, I think it really brings home that, like, people aren't looking for you to go on CNN and treat Jake Tapper like he's a serious, honest person, right? Like, the Trump town hall was a lot of fun.
Right.
He called Caitlin Collins nasty in the middle of the thing, you know? But DeSantis had, like, a serious policy discussion, which I guess, you know, like, he's not Mr. Charisma. Like, I'll say that. But I thought it was pretty boring, the clips that I was seeing that CNN was posting. Like, and if that's the clips that they're posting, then it doesn't seem, you know, but... Like, if that were Trump would be, like, going after Tapper. He'd be saying interesting stuff. He'd be dissing Jack Smith and in the middle of the interview or whatever, you know? Like, it wouldn't be a serious policy conversation. And maybe people are ready for boring, but maybe they're not.
Okay, let me go play a couple of these cuts here.
This is the DeSantis stuff?
Yes.
It's not great.
So let's turn to foreign policy, because obviously that goes hand in hand with military policy in many ways. As a congressman in 2015, you strongly backed arming Ukraine after Russia invaded and seized Crimea. As a presidential candidate, you've said that the conflict is not a vital national interest. So as president, what will your policy be? Will you want to stop arming Ukraine? Will you stop financial support for Ukraine?
So first, a vital national interest to me means we would potentially send troops there. And I don't think anybody wants to see troops in Ukraine. And I would believe that in 2015 as well. It's more of a secondary or tertiary interest. So my policy is going to be very simple. Our number one threat to our country is from China. In terms of foreign threat. We also have a threat of being able to not secure our own border. Tens of thousands of people are dying every year because the cartels are running fentanyl.
So let's turn to foreign policy, because obviously that goes hand in hand with military.
That is not a great cut. I mean...
Yeah, they're all like that, as far as I could see from the cuts that I was seeing that they're posting everywhere.
That's like that's a trip to Subway cut. I mean, I'm not mad at DeSantis. It's just not a great cut.
Either.
So here's the thing. Things like DEI and all that stuff, it hasn't worked in other aspects of society. It very well may be on the constitutional chopping block in light of the Supreme Court's decision on racial discrimination in higher education. And so it's not a model that I think is going to be successful in the military. And so we're going to do what has been successful in the past, and I think you're going to see better recruiting as a result.
So the Pentagon says that they do try to achieve diversity in recruiting, but not when it comes to promotions. That's all merit-based.
Well, I mean, I think that we have seen standards watered down in different situations. I think that that's probably not accurate. Obviously, they're going to say they're doing a good job. I mean, we get that. That's going to be their thing, but I don't think that that's in tune with reality. And here's the thing.
That's a good answer.
I mean, all his answers are fine. He doesn't say anything wrong. Like, everything he says is true. But, like, do people want to see you go give Jake Tapper good policy answers, or do people want to see you post a GIF of you throwing CNN out of the wrestling ring?
Right.
I mean, you know, like, this is the thing, is it's just not, like, this is why people like DeSantis is boring. This is true.
Right. Well, here's the CNN's take. CNN's Bakari Sellers et al.
I think what we showed today was that I was happy to see him sit down with, I forget what they call you now, corporate media.
Corporate media.
Yeah.
I'll take that's the nice version.
That's
the nice version.
Trust me, I know. But I was glad to see him sit down outside of his bubble, because then it helps him look more electable. I mean, it's one thing to do a Joe Rogan interview or kind of the fringes. It's another thing to sit down with.
Joe Rogan isn't fringe.
No, he's mainstream. You're fringe.
He's like a Bernie, bro. Like, what?
Yeah, but
who happens to like guns?
I'm also
like,
saying you're talking ideologically. I'm just saying fringe. Joe Rogan. The world watches Joe Rogan and does not watch CNN.
Yeah, like 20
CNN
million
is
people watch like every episode Joe Rogan puts out.
I love that. Just the self-perception that we're important in mainstream establishment professional news.
He's staying away from fringe people with audiences of like 20 million and coming to us where approximately 600,000 people will see this interview.
At no time on Rogan have 3 people swooned over a prosecutor going to Subway. And he paid just like everybody else.
A consummate journalist. And I think today he was able to handle those questions and deal with them.
Jake Tapper sucks as a journalist.
And although I don't believe in his policies per se, but he actually looked decently presidential today. Yeah. I'm not sure it was a reset, because everything is, I'm anti-woke. Today he just inserted in the military. But at least today
Well,
he
actually,
started.
that's interesting that he says that he inserted about the wokeness in the military, because that's not, he didn't insert that. Jake Tapper specifically asked him that. He had an unreleased CNN poll about the reasons why. And this actually made me mad, because this is like, and this is a case where if DeSantis took them on the premise of their question, and I would not have, because the premise of the question was wrong. So they had some stupid poll about like why people aren't joining the military, and like the first bunch of reasons are all like, oh,
Afraid to
like,
be gay bashed.
afraid to be gay bashed, afraid like the military is mean to minorities and women, and like normal things like I could die, I don't want to go overseas, like. And then like he said that wokeness was only listed as the 9th reason why people aren't joining the military, but as if to say that's not an important reason. But depending who they polled, like I haven't looked at the crosstabs of the poll, but I'm willing to bet that 10 years ago wokeness was not any of the reasons people were not joining the military. 10 years ago, that was not a reason. And if that's a primary reason amongst the people who would ordinarily be joining the military, because I'm willing to bet that not wanting to die and not wanting to go overseas were like also big reasons 10 years ago that you wouldn't want to join the military, and that those people probably were not going to join the military anyway. The problem is that the group of people who ordinarily would be joining the military are not. So you need to go to those people who normally would be joining the military and find out. And I'm willing to bet that if you figure out who that subset is of people who would have been joining the military and are not now joining the military, that you will find that wokeness is a pretty big reason with them. Because we've had people tell us this too, like message us, because sometimes we'll post or talk about these things, like these military recruiting posts where they're talking about recruiting non-binary people or celebrating pride, or recruiting based on astrological signs, and like people will message us and say morale is terrible, this military is being run by psychopaths essentially, and like it's horrible for recruiting, it's horrible for morale for the people that are there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Does Rachel Levine actually have a military rank?
Admiral, right?
So he gets to be.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
That right there is your 9%.
But the premise of the question to say like, oh, it's only the 9th reason why people aren't joining the military is like so enumerate, right? Like DeSantis should have pushed. He said, well, his answer wasn't bad, but he was just like, well, a lot of people like aren't even like defining wokeness, and a lot of people won't define the word, and that's why blah blah blah. But but he should have pushed back more on the premise of the question. He should have been like tougher and pushed back more on Tapper, I thought. That being said, there is this persistent narrative that Trump is just going to cruise to the nomination and DeSantis's campaign is like totally imploding, which I also don't think is totally true. He's
fired some people.
I don't think that, well, I think there have been mistakes in his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that. I think we talked about the ad where he, was trying to look like Top Gun or something.
But that wasn't.
Mission
that's not
status
a bad.
critical. Like
that is terrible. Actually, but
like that was pretty bad. And like that, whatever that video ad was, where they were saying how they're more anti-gay than Trump is, or whatever.
Oh yeah,
which
was like a gay club music pounding on it.
It was an odd. There have been some odd choices, and I think they've been too online. But so I think this narrative has taken hold, particularly on Twitter, that the campaign's like totally the wheels have fallen off. There's some narratives out there. He's raised a lot of money, but they've also spent a lot of money. So there's some narratives
a lot of it is not small donors, so it's big donors.
I mean, he's made the debates in terms of the number of donors, but anyway, which
if
whatever.
You don't,
but here's the thing: is that it doesn't seem to actually be true in the actual polling of the actual early primary states that his campaign is totally imploding and not getting off the ground. He's still losing to Trump by double digits. So that's still, I mean, like you can't win the nomination if you're losing to someone else by double digits. That's obviously true. So I would say right now Trump is looking like the most likely nominee, but this idea that his campaign is totally falling apart and he's absolutely not going to be the nominee, he's very well positioned to potentially
be
the nominee.
In a couple months.
Yeah, a lot could happen in a couple months. There was this poll that came out of New Hampshire today. This was a qualifying poll for the debates, so it was in the news because it was it got some of the people into the debates. It also was a qualifying poll for Burgum, who's going to need a couple more of those to fully qualify. But this was, again, this is New Hampshire. If you had to guess just randomly off the top of your head, where would you say Trump is in New Hampshire? What % of the Republican primary voters?
45.
That's probably where I would have been too. He's at 37. He's down 5 from the last time UNH did this same poll. DeSantis is at 23. He's up 1. So he's still double digits behind, like I say. Which is not, I would still put Trump as most likely to win New Hampshire right now. But that's lower than I would have thought Trump was with the New Hampshire primary voters. Scott is at 8. Christie's at 6. Burgum is at 6. That shocks me.
Burgum's in there?
Yeah. At 6?
I mean, unless he's been there for 2 years and working every corner.
Nobody knew the name Burgum until a few months ago.
No, and literally, it's not like he's a superstar.
And he's definitely going to have the donors because we've talked about his donors.
How is Burgum beating Vivek?
Yeah, I know. I wondered that too. Vivek is at 5, which is up 3 from the last time they did this poll. But I found that surprising too because they did. Everybody talks about how much they like Vivek, but it's kind of almost seems like he's everybody's second choice. So Vivek and Haley are at 5.
Oh, Haley's tied with him.
And then Pence at 1, Hurd at 1. Hutchinson at 0. Suarez, who's that mayor from Florida, is at 0. So,
well, but isn't the problem this, Alice? Or
sure.
do you want to continue? Do you still making a point?
And no, go ahead with what you're saying, because
isn't the problem this for DeSantis? DeSantis is saying, elect me.
Right.
I'll go against pernicious forces and wrestle the machine to the ground. Meanwhile, Trump is engaged right now in battle with the machine. Trump has like this little racy thing he's doing, the primary stuff. That's fun and cute. Trump is fighting the establishment and getting indicted every 10 seconds. It is on with him.
Does some of it wear off a little bit?
Well,
the historic indictment of a former president and that it's Banana Republic stuff, which it is. But does some
in Trump's
of
favor it wears off? Because it's just all fraudulent. It's just
no, it is all fraudulent. But do you think in general, people get sick of the storyline in both directions a little bit? Because I felt more outraged about the other indictment, the stupid sexual assault indictment. Or whatever. That's not an indictment, I guess. It's a civil case.
I see what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? I felt more outraged about that. Does the outrage start to wear off and you're yeah, they're going after him?
So you don't mean outrage as in outraged by the allegations, outraged by the fact they're trying to destroy him. Well, no, I think
some
it just
of the
builds.
they're trying to destroy him wear off, and I want to move on from the conversation.
No, I think just keeps on reinforcing it, which is why he's
I'm a little bored by
Trump's
him getting indicted now.
He's going to get goosed again. His ratings, his numbers are going to get goosed again. Undoubtedly, we're seeing this over the top piling on right after Hunter Biden's cocaine is found in the White House, and no investigation takes place.
That's true.
It's crazy. The contrast is crazy. They have absolutely painted. No, they haven't. They've embodied the corrosive, corrupted establishment swamp. This administration and this president.
Yeah.
And now Trump is absolutely embodying somebody who dares try to fix it or change it.
Right.
And so they're not even hiding the fact that they're trying to destroy him using whatever they can use. And if he's found guilty of one of these what's that called? When you go against your country, not
treason.
Treason things. Then he can't run for president. If he is whatever. I mean, this is so in plain sight here No, I think I mean, that's why I'm, as of right now, voting for Trump. I'm supporting Trump. I think it's got to be him. It's got to be. The more that he's the guy who's getting piled on and destroyed, the more he's got to be the guy.
Yeah. So I thought some of these other numbers that weren't the headline numbers out of here were interesting too. For second choice, Ron DeSantis and Vivek are topping the list of people's second choice, each with 18, which I think makes sense. That vibes with what I feel like. I hear people say they like him all the time, Vivek, but he doesn't poll as high. Tim Scott is 12% of people's second choice.
Their second choice.
I mean, I think the second choice is like, even though I feel like on Twitter it's very like Trump versus DeSantis, I do think that Ron DeSantis is a lot of people's who support Trump's second choice. Still.
Right.
I think a lot of people who like Trump also like DeSantis, and I think a lot of people who like Trump also like Vivek, but I think they prefer Trump first.
Right, and maybe for the reasons why I'm preferring Trump.
Right, but you like Vivek and you like Ron DeSantis, and you would vote for either of them.
Yes.
Whereas, and that's why I feel like when I say that I think Twitter presents this false reality where it's like the DeSantis people and the Trump people like hate each other and are going after each other. Like, I don't think that that's actually true, like for regular voters who aren't engaged.
I also think that in both DeSantis and Vivek, you're getting the best of Mitt Romney with the best of Donald Trump. Both of them can comport themselves. Both of them have a huge competency.
Right.
And knowledge of the subject matter. Vivek can just reel it up, and so can DeSantis. You feel like you're in really competent, big-brain hands with those guys.
Right. Now, this I thought was interesting, too. So, in terms of second choice, Tim Scott then comes in next with 12, Mike Pence with 11, Donald Trump with 10, Larry Elder with 5, Nikki Haley with 3, Doug Burgum with 3, Chris Christie with 3, little numbers then, right? But what 2024 GOP presidential candidate would you not vote for under any circumstances among GOP primary voters? Chris Christie tops this list. This is the only list he tops. 35%. People just hate him. He's only in there as a spoiler. He does nothing for anybody. Nobody likes him. So if 35% of the voters will not vote for you under any circumstances, just go home.
Yeah, that's a tough one for him.
Like, I don't know. Mike Pence is next with 20%. I think that's obvious why. Because
he stole the election.
Yeah. And then Donald Trump is next with...
I mean, nothing, YouTube. Sorry, nobody stole anything.
And then Donald Trump is at 18%, with 18% won't vote for you, which is not great. Ron DeSantis is at 4%. Only 4% of people will not vote for DeSantis under any circumstances. And they actually have comparable name recognition. If you go down to like the favorability, both Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, 100% of the people had an opinion, like favorable, unfavorable, or neutral. None of them said about those guys they don't know enough about them to say. Right?
Right.
And actually, interestingly, also Chris Christie was very close. Only 5% of the voters said they didn't know enough about Chris Christie to say. So it was Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, and Mike Pence were the ones with the biggest name recognition.
So another reason I think that Vivek and DeSantis are the second choice of Republicans was put on display today in the White House. And here you go.
And we brought Israelis and Palestinians together at a political level, and Akra and Paul Schramm. Yes. And as I affirmed the Prime Minister.
Meanwhile, the Israeli guy's like looking at the camera and around at the staff, like, is this okay?
Is there a doctor?
Is the president dying in front of me?
Is it Biden continues to be old as hell, and I think voters are enthused by the idea of somebody with actually naturally brown hair being in the Oval Office, because this is not good. And so once again, Trump is the exception. Obviously, these guys weren't going to vote for Biden anyway, but man. And that's actually, if it ever gets to... The problem is DeSantis can't hit Trump on he can't hit Trump on anything really, because the only attacks DeSantis can do, he can't echo any attacks that Democrats have, because that'll be seen by him being in cahoots with the BS Liz Cheney stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He can't hit them on anything Democrats will hit him on. All he can hit them on is handing the country over to Fauci, which is a good note.
Mm-hmm. And Chris Wray and all those people. Like, if you don't like the deep state, like if you don't like what Chris Wray did to Trump, like he also hired Chris Wray. He promoted Milley. He if you. But I don't think Trump voters care. Is the thing.
Well,
about
right,
any of those things.
and also, yeah, and I mean, there's a narrative there that these seemingly good Beltway military guys and bureaucrats turn out to be rotten, and Trump found that out, and we found out with him.
Right.
You know, he did some bad hiring, but maybe the pool that knows how to navigate the streets of Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
They're all corrupt or damaged. Not all of them. I mean, there were some good ones. But Betsy DeVos was not a D.C. person.
No, but I mean, she's a big money,
right? Well, that's how
involved person,
right? I mean, that's how they get paid, right? The big bundlers get cushy jobs. What else we got? Well, hold on. Let me check for my girlfriend here.
I do one other random stat from that New Hampshire poll that a lot of people have been citing that's kind of interesting, I guess, is in the New Hampshire poll among voters with children in the household, DeSantis is beating Trump 56-23.
Oh, interesting.
So that's, I mean, a lot of people are citing it to say, like, oh, he's getting back, like, the suburban parents' votes, you know? The, like, moms for DeSantis kind of people, like normie people, right?
Yes.
Which I think is true to an extent. The question is, how much can you do that, bring back the, like, suburban voters who are okay with Romney but not with Trump, without losing those other people that Trump brings in, right? In terms of a general election.
That's a tough one. I
right?
mean, I think that's what Pence was trying to do.
Right. I think a lot of people have tried to do that, and no one has, as well as Trump, brought those other voters in. Trump does freak out a lot of people.
Yes.
Like a lot of suburban kind of moderate type people really don't like Trump. That's that 18% that's in there that I would never consider voting for Trump, right? Whereas DeSantis is only at 4% who would never consider voting for him, right? But Trump brings in different people to the party that you don't necessarily get with a DeSantis potentially in a general election.
Can we check in with my girlfriend or no?
Who's your girlfriend?
Will you attend his address tomorrow?
I will not be attending. There's currently a crisis of democracy in apartheid. And I think that this is something that has been a consensus among human rights organizations.
AOC will not be watching the Prime Minister or President of Israel, President Isaac Herzog. Alice, I've got a concern. We need to talk about something.
Okay. We need to talk about something?
Yeah. AOC may have lost a little something off her fastball.
Hotness-wise?
Yeah. I don't know if she's gained weight or she looked very chipmunky.
I don't know. Did you send us that clip? I didn't look at her on it.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. Look.
She does seem a little puffy or something.
She seems puffier. Is she with child? You can tell, right? You have
I'm not going to
speculate
right? on if she's with child.
Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you speculate? Is she showing other signs?
People can look puffy for all kinds of reasons.
Looks very puffy.
Maybe she slept badly. I don't know. Jeez. Her job isn't to be hot for you, Tom.
It's not?
No. No.
But that's how I grade her.
Okay, well.
And she's getting a C- today.
Sorry.
This is not good. I'm going to need an
Maybe
AOC
you should write a I'm not your constituent, but I'm going to weigh in anyway letter to her. Just to let her know. I know we're low on time. There's a couple other things that I wanted to hit quickly because I thought they were like very important stories. One is this news story that Colin Wright has out on his Substack. It's not actually by him. He's one of these people doing like what Barry Weiss is doing, where
Yeah.
His Substack is like from multiple people. It's like a news outlet. So this is by some people, Jennifer Lal and Callie Fell on his Substack. His primary issue, he's a liberal, really, Colin Wright. Do you follow him at all?
No.
But he's like some kind of biology guy who's like very against the trans stuff. So his Substack is called Reality's Last Stand. That it's just insanity. But he's like a liberal on it. He's not like a conservative guy or something. So anyway, he is highlighting this story on here, and these other people wrote it, but there was a big new study. Remember we talked about the like trans breastfeeding? Sorry,
yes.
Chest feeding, whatever, where men, it makes them feel feminine and good about themselves if they can pretend they can breastfeed babies with their chest secretions.
So gross.
Yeah, even though there's no evidence that this is like okay for children and they're on all kinds of like some cocktail of hormones to do it, and we have no idea if it's good. Like, I can't even take ibuprofen or like you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, it's also also not breastfeeding. It's also oral molestation of a child.
Yeah. So anyway, so you thought that was screwed up, but they're now reaching like new levels of effed up with the like trans people having babies and being weird about it situation, which is that traditionally what's been done is if women who transition to become men decide that they want to become children, they have to like go off some of their transing hormones.
Wait,
women who become men.
Yes, decide that they want to have children.
Right?
Yep.
So they have to go off some of their like all these hormones that they're on in order to become pregnant and stuff, because you shouldn't be taking heavy duty doses of testosterone your entire pregnancy. Testosterone treatments are classed as an X-class drug, which means there's significant risks to the fetus in development. Like, you're not supposed to be taking them. So anyway, there's a new study out that's decided that gendered pregnancy care is too focused on helping women have healthy babies, and that trans men should just continue taking testosterone during pregnancy despite the known health risks. And because the desire for normal fetal outcomes is rooted in a problematic desire to protect offspring from being something other than normal, and reflect historical and ongoing social practices for creating ideal or normative bodies.
Oh my goodness. So have a messed up and damaged kid.
Yeah, it's eugenics to say you shouldn't do stuff that's freaking terrible for your baby during pregnancy now, and problematic because you're being too normative about it. There's a new study out that says presently testosterone is classified as a teratogenic. That means it induces gene mutations.
Yeah.
U.S. FDA pregnancy category X drug, suggesting it induces birth defects. It is labeled as such because studies in pregnant women have demonstrated risk to the fetus, and or human and animal studies have shown fetal abnormalities and risks of the drug outweigh the benefits. It is well established that prenatal exposure to androgens such as testosterone can cause genital defects in females. Androgens act as masculinizing hormones guiding the formation of male genitalia and inhibiting the development of the vagina in males. So they've decided that it's too problematic to tell trans men that their testosterone treatments are going to harm this developing child, because that's just rooted in your problematic desire for the baby to want to be normal.
Okay. So then, so they want to be able to deliver as trans men with
they want to stay
vaginas.
On their hormone treatments. The new paper argues that this precautionary and safety-first approach during pregnancy...
What paper? Who wrote this?
This is a new paper.
Are at least 2,000 people being arrested for this?
I don't know. But, I mean, like, seriously, they arrest moms who have, like we talked about that other story, the mom who has a drug in her system that's to prevent her from relapsing on opioids. They took her baby from her for it. But if you're on testosterone, then that's like throw the precautionary
damage
safety
your child, but you're allowed to do it because the Leah Thomas defense. It makes me happy.
Right.
I'm happy when I do it.
The paper argues that the precautionary and safety-first approach during pregnancy to prevent developmental conditions in the fetus is eugenicist and inscribed in binary notions of sex. So you're going to cause abnormalities in development of your child's private parts. Essentially, they're not going to develop properly because you need to take a bunch of testosterone to make yourself feel good.
Because it makes you happy.
Right.
Okay.
Social justice activists, this is directly from the paper, social justice activist scholars in the field of critical studies, good, I'm glad we're asking them about the medical treatment for pregnant women, have made important strides to highlight how the desire to maximize the fitness of offspring and guard against the developmental conditions.
We need to reimagine it, don't we?
I know. To guard against conditions considered unhealthy or less than ideal may reflect troubling eugenicist and biomedical moralist underpinnings in ways that further harm already socially marginalized people. Just when you thought these people could not...
socially marginalized people, troubling trend, socially marginalized people are greater than sign kiddos.
Yeah, it's fine to cause your child to have birth defects.
Your kiddo can have birth defects if you feel happy constantly.
And actually, to even question if it's a good thing to give your kid birth defects is eugenicist of you.
Right.
Because that's what eugenics is. Eugenics is don't take drugs that hurt your developing baby.
Cyril Shattuck, using the parking meter, go ahead.
The paper argues that contemporary pregnancy in particular has become a site of epistemic injustice through processes of medical professionals and technologies assuming power and epistemic authority over pregnancy and pregnant people, often denying or superseding the epistemic privilege, knowledge, and control that a pregnant person has over their own body and embodied pregnancy experience. These papers clearly demonstrate our responsibility.
Do quarters fit in there?
In the safety first, yes. The safety-first approach results in additional social control over women in their everyday lives, often despite equivocal empirical evidence supporting the benefits of such precautions. We argue that in the context of uncertain medical evidence, that hormone replacement therapy with testosterone during pregnancy and chest feeding is a highly gendered treatment context. Pregnancy and lactation care.
Shattuck, we can revisit this tomorrow if you'd like to, but the show's over. So it is time for... Aunt Cyril, if you want coins, there's probably some in my box. It's a wooden box in my kitchen. A-holes. I know some. There's probably a lot of quarters in there.
Yeah.
It's in my box.
The other day, Cyril fed the meter, and then he got mad because he was like, well, now what do I get? And I said, you can park.
Yeah, you can park right here.
And he said, how can I park? I don't even have a car.
Yeah, that's true. I actually did that.
All right, Alice, what is the hot sauce?
The hot sauce is the Chelsea Fire Wicked hot sauce. Delicious and bold hot sauce in 3
What's
flavors.
That? Down the street, Alice, where the Lawrence, what's this river called? Merrimack River hits the salt water. What do you call that?
Also really, really hot for kids.
I don't know.
What do you call that? It's called the water's brackish.
Brackish.
Brackish, right? Because two different elements are combining right there.
Okay.
We've got some brackishness happening here on the
Chat Chat.
On the Chat Chat. We've got the ne'er-do-wells using subterfuge, looking to undermine the system like Stephen Merrimack. Speaking of brackish, right across that very river. And then we have the people, the good citizens.
Yeah.
Like Paul in the... Listen to this. Look how wonderful this is done. Listen to this, the title of this message. BB / Paul in the car.
Okay.
/ holy hell. Parentheses and his emails in there. What an immaculate way to title it. And of course, all around there now, I've got Steve from Merrimack and his band of miscreants are all anonymous. So I don't know who's what there. But we're going to start with this person right here. KB1SXV. Do you know who that is?
Fritz.
Oh, it is? Okay. Radio station. Fritz does his own labeling.
Hold on. Stop the show.
Okay.
I was sitting here practicing on my double neck guitar that I made last month, and I just realized...
Is this the 612?
You guys were...
Do you know what a Gibson 612 is, also?
Mm-mm.
Jimmy Page used to play one. It's two necks. One is a 6-string, one is a 12-string. I have played them before. I found them to be like kind of a lot to handle. But if you're Jimmy Page, you got a lot of production. He didn't have another guitarist.
Talking about, I was playing along with you guys watching the Burn Barrel, and I'm not going to use any pronouns, his, her, they, them. I could give a crap what you identify as. You could be a tree stump for all I care. No way, man. I am done with this. Totally done with it. Whee!
I hear you, Fritz. And by the way, I need to know. My
no
parking meter lamp.
It's been disrupted.
Come on.
It never quite fully recovered from falling out of the car.
I know, that was freaking tragic. That's what you get for living on a hill. I actually need to find a way, because I put stump killer on some tree stumps and it didn't kill them. I need to know if you guys know of a homebrew way to kill stumps. I got a lot of stuff. I also got weeds that come back. I have a lot to kill, including I need a full, and don't tell me not to poison the earth. I need something that's going to kill every blade of grass on my patio, which is little nuggets of stone, but it was full of grass.
I think a lot of people put down like the black stuff under the dirt.
It's down there, but it's
on our patio it is, but maybe we need a new batch.
Maybe we need a new batch of a lot of stuff. Unfortunately.
Okay. That's not the listener's fault.
Okay, I'm gonna go to one of the anonymi. Okay.
Okay.
If you're gonna do the Laverne and Shirley
theme
song, you have to do the video and watch it on Wayne's World. Wayne and Garth doing the video, absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's been a while. I actually saw that in the theater. It was a very notable theater. So Fritz has one named KBSSXV radio station, and this one's just anonymous. There's no way to tell. The system will not work.
So wait, is Fritz in trouble too now?
Fritz is in trouble now. He's with Steve from Merrimack and his crew. Dr. Cheswick has labeled Dr. Cheswick, and one's labeled Dr. Cheswick AYCE.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to comment on that story about the congressperson who used colored people instead of people of color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, Cyril, we'll see you downstairs.
We're
in a
almost
minute,
done.
Okay. See you. Bye. Go ahead. We were talking to the audience now. Okay. Bye-bye.
When Quantum Leap was on television, it was my favorite show.
Yeah.
And Sam jumped into the body of an attorney who was defending a black woman.
Well, maybe Sam's not the old guy. Maybe he's the other guy, Scott Bakula. Okay. I didn't watch it, but I mean, I had friends who watched it.
But it was during the 50s, I think. And so he kept saying that she was black, and the other attorney corrected him and said, "Don't you mean colored?"
Interesting.
And of course, he then after that, he sort of just didn't refer to her color or not. The way they wrote the script, he kind of diverted to just using her name. So that's a really interesting thing that you are allowed to say certain words, but you're not. And if you're a certain color, you can say whatever you'd like.
Right, and they don't hurt.
What a great society.
Yes, they don't hurt to hear if the person who says it is the right color. Otherwise, they hurt to hear.
Mm-hmm. And they change all the time.
Yes.
The words that you're allowed to say and aren't allowed to say, it's impossible to keep up.
All right, this is just JAD, just another deadbeat.
Okay.
Hey guys, start by saying thanks for the show and all the work you put into it.
Pleasure.
Great. In episode 811, Tom's looking
Phil?
for a word. And the word
Who?
Is it Phil?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I suggest to you is Patreon. And
yeah.
the reason I say this is because just like the rep in Congress that was offended by her cohort's words, so too were you, and your Patreon listeners seem to be triggered by 30 minutes of additional chatter for those of us that are unable or unwilling to come up with the monthly fee.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so here now we have another war brewing. The Patreon versus the non-Patreon. By the way, Tim and Canton called me on the air to gloat that he had stolen
the Patreon show?
Yes.
Well, one person subscribed, actually.
That's great. So
you bullied one person into
I need
paying
everybody
you.
who's listening right now who listened to that Patreon episode who is not a Patreon subscriber. I need everybody's address. And you will receive an invoice.
Okay.
I also think the contrast in your personalities really rang through on this issue. Also, you know, Alice says, oh, we have to have a makeup session for the Patreon subscribers. And Tom just says, we deadbeats should pay up. So Alice is makeup and Tom is pay up. Either way, I love the show.
Thank you.
There was a time when my podcast rankings in Boston were Kirk 1, Jerry 2, Tom and Alice 3, and now I'd put you guys first, Kirk second, and Jerry third. Your hard work is paying off, and you guys are both great. Thank
you so much. What am I
Nobody
to say?
send that audio to Colonnade.
That is stolen valor, I believe they call that. Don't worry, they're in New York. I think we're safe.
Okay.
Safe from scrutiny. All right. Ooh, this is good.
Okay.
Wait.
Is everything okay over there?
This is another one. Eat / no, that means all you can eat. Paul in the car / just eat ice cream. Okay, so we'll save that one for later. Well done, Paul. Excellent. What do you call it when what's that called? I used to have to go to meetings at the newspaper about this. When properly categorizing things, you'd have to have meetings about like which categories we can get rid of, etc. There's a word for it. You guys know it. If you're in IT, it's probably protocols. Something protocols, probably. There we go. BB.
Burn barrel.
Paul in the car.
Okay.
Holy hell. And his email. Okay. This is an immaculate representation. Well done, Paul.
Hey, guys. Paul in the car.
Hey,
Hi, Paul.
I'm just trying to figure out if I really have been living under a rock the last couple of years here. Some of it was intentionally just to avoid the hysteria, but is there really a difference between people of color and colored people? I mean, all things being equal.
Huge difference.
It's semantics, right? And it's just another way to posit being offended. I just don't understand this is psychotic behavior, and I'm amazed, maybe I shouldn't be, that we're wasting our time, 10, 15 minutes on the floor of this hearing to debate that. And,
to get rid of the words, to erase the words from history.
Stricken, not amended. I mean, holy hell. I guess this is where we're at. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul. But it is. And the thing is that like right now, BIPOC is all the rage. You're allowed to use BIPOC. There will be a time in the near future when BIPOC is stricken from the record.
Oh, yeah, that will be illegal, too. Because all the words come and go, and then you're not allowed to say the last one once the new one comes into vogue.
Right.
The last one becomes offensive.
And you will know when you have violated the unspoken rules when you get stricken from the record.
Right. Sometimes years after you violated the rule.
Correct. And then your statue has to come back down, too. Anonymous.
Okay.
What do you think, Fritz or Steve?
I think this anonymous is Steve.
Hey, Tom, you were right in that Laverne and Shirley was a spinoff from Happy Days.
Right.
If you remember, Laverne dated Fonzie in those earlier episodes of Happy Days. And I always found it amazing when you look at Penny Marshall and Henry Winkler in that they played Laverne DeFazio and Arthur Fonzarelli.
Talk about appropriation. Port Italians can't get a gig in this franchise.
Two Italians, and they're actually of Jewish heritage. Yeah. So it was just amazing how great of a character actors they were in that show.
That said,
isn't Sonny also in The Godfather?
That's what I was going to say. Well said. So Sonny, also, James Caan, gipes a role that some poor Italian guy can't have. What is going on here?
Handsome guy. My fave from The Godfather.
You're right to think that. And yes, he is a handsome guy. That is smart.
Thank you. Thank you. That's as far as my Godfather
takes
go.
First of all, Michael was just bitchy, especially in the first one. And actually...
My other take?
Yeah.
Is that the Italian wife was better in every way, and that chick that he ends up with is like a terrible mob
American
wife.
Pain in the ass.
I would have been a way better mob wife.
That was supple. That was supple. My girlfriend from the time. Thomas. That was her.
Because they were absolutely believable as Italian.
Yeah. Let me see. What's the name? Okay, here we go.
Hey, guys. A very belated and happy congratulations, I guess, for 800 and counting. I guess 810 and counting now. But, so thinking about a child name.
Oh, good.
Kind of came out of the blue the other day. You got to figure the two of you are obviously world-renowned podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
You have a terrific world point of view.
Oh, thank you.
Obviously coming from the political right.
Yeah, some people don't.
And then on top of it, you got to figure that this child, when he comes out, he's going to have at least 150 podcasts under his belt, even though they're in utero.
True.
Dude is picking stuff up here.
Yes.
So
what a great
I think
insight.
with all this,
that's a great point. True.
The best idea would be maybe to name him Rush Shattuck.
Oh. So I like the idea, but that's a lot of
together.
I feel like I'm shushing somebody in the middle of saying his name. Rush Shattuck. It's a tough one.
Is Rush's full name?
Yeah, Rush Hudson Limbaugh.
No, but Rush is like not a shortened version of something.
No.
It's not. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
We hadn't thought of it, but that's a lot of happening.
Yeah, I like the idea, but yeah, I don't know if sound-wise it works with Shattuck.
And you don't want to have to give somebody a built-in like a disability like that where he's going to have to explain. We already have that with Anson. You know, we have a son named Anson, and people are like, Handsome? No, Anson. So now it's like
Anthony.
We've built it into him now that he's time is being wasted because of our difficult choice of name.
Oh, and Cyril is like.
Oh yeah,
that's people can't figure that out at all.
Right. You got to think about these things.
Cyrus.
Yeah, you got to think about these things because
we didn't think of that. We both knew Cyril's, and it did not occur to us that Cyril was a weird name, but apparently it's a really weird name. I didn't know. Like
but also there are things like these things my parents didn't realize when they moved.
Somebody says Tucker Shattuck. I do like that.
Shattuck. Ooh, I do like that too. I mean, we might as well at this point, like, call him Steve Bannon Shattuck. I mean, that's pretty late.
A certain dog that was owned by my family that died actually fairly recently was almost named Tucker.
Right.
Instead of Rambo. But
it's a great story, Al. Thank you. Thank you.
But my dad nixed it, so there you go.
My goodness.
Now, Rush Shattuck just kind of flows. You can say, hey, who's that kid at first base? That's Rush Shattuck.
Yeah, but it sounds like...
Raw Shattuck.
Like Rashida. But a built-in disability that my parents did that me and my brother, Jimmy, had to endure.
Okay.
Is that we lived on Dean Road in Winchester growing up. We used to live on Stone Ave, 9 Stone Ave. Nice and easy to say. Then we moved to Dean Road, 6 Dean Road. Thomas Shattuck?
So 16.
Exactly. Where do you live? 16 Road? There's no 16 Road in Winchester, Tom. Waste of time. All said, who knows? Could be 6 minutes of time.
Do you remember when I was at the Jiffy Lube and I had to try and spell Shattuck for the person?
Yeah, didn't you say this on the air just recently?
No, I said it to our kids recently.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, but I do love this story,
great.
so I may have said it before on the show, but I don't think that recently, but the chat can stop me if I did. But I went through, she couldn't figure out the name Shattuck. I spelled it out like very carefully, letter by letter, and she finally like turned around the screen to show it to me and said, is this right? And she had everything except she was missing the C. So it was ChatTuck. So we'd already been here, like, she had SHATTUK. That was it.
Right.
There was no C. And we'd already spent like 5 minutes on this with me like carefully saying each letter as she listened. So she finally turns around the screen. She's missing the C. And I go, yeah, that's exactly right. It's just a CK at the end. And she goes, oh, deletes the whole thing and types Alice CK.
That is fantastic.
So that was it.
Like the comedian.
That was my new name. That's it. So anyway, if you're still feeling guilty about listening to that extra Patreon episode yesterday, you can subscribe. Otherwise,
I highly suggest you subscribe. And now you've seen what you're getting Or for those of you who refuse to subscribe, I am going to ask that you bail out of the podcast until you've returned to me the amount of minutes you've stolen.
No, but we'll do some extra show this week for the Patreon people.
I want
Maybe
payments,
Thursday's probably a
Alice.
good day. Okay.
Invoices.
Okay.
Paper invoices. And I will only accept checks. Like, what is it that we have to pay by? We had to pay the Maine Turnpike Authority by check the other day. It was freaking great. Ugh. Anyway, I only take checks too.
Good. Anyway, so if you want to join the Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/burnbarrel. Of course, you can always listen to the show for free. That's at burnbarrelpodcast.com. That's also where you can leave chat messages. Everything else is free. Just do that.